Thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
This is the captain. I'd like to welcome you aboard. This is a very special flight today. We have 11 veterans from World War II who are traveling with us.
With all the respect for them that can be mustered, the liberators are on a hard homecoming.
I'd like to thank you for your service.
Some of Canada's few remaining D-Day soldiers en route back to the Normandy beaches. Cared for every transatlantic mile. Treasured men by both Canada and France. Take a moment to hear them out.
This is in the area where we landed.
This is Jim Parks. He was one of the first on Juno Beach on June the 6th.
We saved the area all around.
Just shy of 100 years old, some memories are crystal clear.
2 nights before, they canceled for one day because of the weather. Then it was on.
What lingers for him about that dawn assault as his landing craft approached shore was how things didn't go exactly as planned.
The boat was disabled. Our carriers got overflowed with water and we had to swim. We were supposed to land right on the shore, but we couldn't.
When your craft was hit, what was it hit by?
We could have been hit by a mine or something, but fairly loud explosion. Because a lot of firing going on as we went in.
Jim was a Royal Winnipeg Rifle. His assignment, scheduled for 2 minutes before the full invasion, was to hit the beach right here, an advance unit.
We lost everything. I had nothing.
No weapon.
No weapon. The first guy I saw was mortally wounded, a Corporal Scaife. So I took his helmet, I took his grenades, and I took his Sten gun.
Yeah.
So
notice something there about Jim's recollection of the soldier whose gear he took? He named Corporal Scaife, says he tries to say the names of the dead as often as he can.
That's Billy Hood. He was killed the 8th of June.
And he tried to save his friends.
We pulled a few people out of the water. The tanks were coming in too. They'd be run over by the tanks. Even if they're wounded, they'd be finished. Eh? So he couldn't see who they're running over. Yeah.
Did you have even 1 second to be afraid?
You're afraid all the time, but you don't realize it. You want to get cover away from the firing, so we got into the sandbank and waited for the other people to come in.
Other people like George Couture. He too was a Royal Winnipeg Rifle. When did it start to get louder? When did it start to feel like something was about to happen?
When we're about 20 miles offshore. Hell breaks loose, you could hear the guns going off.
Almost right away, he saw death. Men crushed between ships and landing crafts.
And that was pitiful to see. I seen lots of men, they died before they got from one ship to the other. The sea was rough. They'd lose their hold on the scramble net, and they'd either fall down onto the smaller boat below or in between the boats.
So not even dying from enemy fire,
No,
just the
nothing,
danger
no.
of doing that.
There were quite a few. Must have been terrified. We were watching all this.
George, the rifleman, was in the second wave of troops just after Jim, who was heading inland. This is where George's unit landed. At the same time, Bill Wilson of the Navy was watching all this unfold from HMCS Ottawa II, right here. Do you remember how you felt watching that?
In awe. It's never been seen before in the history of man. I don't think any of us had breakfast that morning. We just stood there watching.
Do you remember what it sounded like?
Just a rumble, continuous rumble and smoke.
The people that were shot or killed were lying in the water. It must have been phosphorus grenades or something they used on them. When they come up out of the water, it'd light up. They're on fire. Scare the heck out of you.
And so as you get closer to shore and it's your turn to go ashore, what was that like?
The Germans opened fire and then everything happens at once. Just like a dream.
Was it slow like a dream?
No, fast. Everything is fast.
I don't understand how you are able to put one foot in front of the other. Is that just the training, or are you built different?
You're always trained to move forward and take cover, do what you had to do.
What is it about you that made you survive, do you think?
Oh, the luck of the draw. I got buried in a trench a couple times, and I got blown through a window, and I lost most of my hearing, and I got shrapnel in different parts of my legs. And the time I got blown through a window, the shell exploded behind me and blew me in.
See, the Germans were back about 10 miles.
George Couture has a memory of seeing German soldiers being taken prisoner by the Canadians, then having the tables turned as the Nazis grabbed him.
He just hid behind that railroad track with a big gun, and as soon as they seen a carrier come up over the hump, they opened up and blew. I remember flying through the air, and the Germans were just over on the other side. They come over the railroad track and captured us. There was 2 boys who were laying on the ground, weren't moving at all, and the German made me pick them up, and then he shot them. And then I thought, I'm going to be next.
Time sometimes moved fast, sometimes crawled. The Nazi soldiers put George and the other Canadian prisoners of war on a death march across Europe to Poland for nearly a year.
We marched, thousands of miles. I forget even the names of places.
So for you, after 10 months, how did you become free? What happened?
The Germans just left us. Next morning, British tanks come roaring into the place, right through the barbed wire. A good sight to see.
In the end, these Canadians emerged mostly all in one piece. Different, though. All of them a bit different.
I lost 2 friends. One 5 doors away from me. I grew up with him.
All of them vowing to remember and talk about the pals they lost.
Jack was with the Port Garry horse tanks, and he died July 7th or 8th. Jesus Christ. They're still there.
They're still here with you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There aren't anybody left to remember him. His parents, his sister's gone, his brother's gone. They're all gone.
It's amazing to me that you remember all these names so well.
Well, the name liveth forevermore, so I made sure when I talk, like I'm talking to you, Corporal Martin, Corporal Scaife. Their names are still being told. They're buried in Benny-sur-Mer, but I'm telling you the names right now.
It's a way of keeping them alive.
Yeah, the name liveth forevermore. That's right in the graveyard. You've seen it there, right? The name liveth forevermore.
What's really important for you to do when you go there this time?
One last time visit the graveyard and the Abbey. I'm from Winnipeg, and they're all Winnipeg Rifles. Lost 17 kids that were lined up and shot in the back of their heads by the Germans. I'll never forget that. The bastards.
And so, finally, a moment. His last, he knows, with all the graves of those young men. To see these men here now is to respect what a toll on the heart it must take to return to Normandy. But driven by duty, as even the youngest of men, they know where they need to be right now. And they just have to trust that Canada and France will always stand for them.